morning, everyone. My name is Sarah, and this is Emmie. It is just about spring. Well, it's supposed to be spring. The weather is a little snowy sometimes, but a couple of weeks ago, I started my gold bell dress thrift flip from a bunch of curtains. I started working on that, and then I ended up in the ER and the hospital for a few days. That was not fun. I'm gonna be fine, but I'm not quite feeling up to working on something quite so big yet, so I'm gonna start a much smaller project right now. I have 4 yards of this fabric that I got on clearance for $5 a yard, so that's $20 worth of fabric there. And I pulled this out of my stash. I also have a spring cup of tea. I'm gonna do sort of a cottagecore inspired spring outfit. So I have the dress in the purple flowers and sort of not a real corset, but just like a bodice out of the purple. I drafted up a quick pair of CottageCore stays and cut the pattern from coutil, cute lining, and purple fabric. All of these stays pieces are cut out, and I have my fabric weight ready to go. So I'm going to flatline these two together and then use this as the lining. I think I'm going to put a few plastic bones in here, but it's not really a corset. So it's just to hold the shape a little bit. I stitched the bodice together, and what you see on my hand is a bruise from a stab from a different kind of needle, one done by a phlebotomist. It still hurt. I stitched the lining in the same way. I finished the bodice. I finished the sewing of the bodice. I'm exhausted. It's gonna be fine eventually, but I need to take it easy for a bit, so I think I'm gonna go downstairs and take a break. Many hours later, I ironed the seam allowance open and top-stitched them to form boning casing. I pinned the lining to the outside fabric, wrong sides together, and stitched that closed. And then I witnessed a loon fight. To finish the corset, I cut 2-inch wide bias tape and got out one of my favorite garage sale finds, my bias tape maker. Using a 1/2-inch seam allowance, I stitched some to the right side of the front edges to make boning channels for the lacing. I chose to top stitch this closed since there were already top stitched boning channels, so it fit with the look. Plus, less hand stitching, which was fine by me. You know, I was actually trying to work on that. Yeah, that. I carefully pinned the bias tape around about 1/3 of the bodice before giving up and just winging it. I wanted to get the curves to lay flat, but I was conserving energy from my hospital experience. I stitched that the same as before. Oh, and this is why I don't sew over pins, but I guess I missed one. Whoops. Getting bias tape around the straps was tricky, and I had better luck doing that bit by hand. Emmie, why is there a frisbee in the sewing room? Where's your frisbee? Go get your frisbee. That's the wrong way. I guess I stabbed myself at some point. Oops. I flipped the bias tape over and pinned it neatly in place. Also, petting. This part was going to show, so no puckering from the lack of pins. If you'd be interested in this pattern, let me know in the comments. I marked out where I wanted the grommets to go. With a little help from my assistants, Judah decided to join us today. They both haven't let me out of their sight since I got home from the hospital. I chose grommets instead of hand-bound eyelets because they are easier, plus this won't get a lot of tension because it's not a real corset. Someone in this room has farted. Judah? Slightly deaf dog? I think it was you. I thought we got this so I'd stop injuring myself, but my hand slipped off of it and I smashed a lot of my hand. Ignore the bruise, that's from a blood test. I smashed 3 fingers and my knuckle and my palm. Ow. Random moment of affection here. Judah loves Emmie, and Emmie loved visiting Judah and then going home without him. I got the rest of the grommets in without any further injury, with no help from the nap crew. So, this fits perfectly. Not bad for a self-drafted pattern. What do you guys think? You good doggies. That's awesome. Now I just have to decide on the pattern for the dress, or the design for the dress, because I'm probably going to draft it myself. I want to make sure something that I actually would wear, and I'm not big on like poof and frills and stuff, so I'm going to do like somewhat of a gathered neckline and gathered sleeves and like small poofy sleeves. I know if you look at most of the stuff I make, you would not know that I don't actually like poofs and frills, but yeah, stuff I'll actually wear is a little bit more calm. So it sort of rained all day yesterday, and you know what April showers bring, right? Flooding. That's where all my fabric is stored. I'm a little concerned. There's also rain predicted basically all of next week, so... Uh-oh. For the dress, I'm going to try a different style of pattern drafting where I do it on a flat surface with a bunch of measurements. See how that works out. I get to break out the flower fabric. Does this make me look like I know what I'm doing? Because I don't. There's a lot of skill and training behind flat pattern drafting, and I just don't have it. Not that that's ever stopped me before. I made an armhole and a channel for elastic. For the sleeve, I traced the armhole and then used some magic to redo it because I messed up this part the first time around. Emmie is ready to cut the fabric! I've lived somewhat nearby this lake for years now, but I am so excited to finally just be able to walk out my door and fall into the lake. It'll be really nice in the hot summer days when we go for walks, and I can just have Emmie take a dip before we go for a walk and then she won't overheat, plus another dip after the walk, because you know, she's spoiled. And because she's a die-hard water dog. Time to cut! Gee, I wonder why I slice my fingers all the time. There was one time on this lake that she spent 4 hours swimming. I mean, you try and tell her to not be a water dog. And ta-da! Bodice pieces! I was pinning together my bodice pieces and I noticed this is the front of the bodice. There's a huge hole in it. Someone put a hole in the fabric. I'm just gonna cut another one of those. I sewed the 3 waist pieces together at the side seams. I sewed the sleeve and bodice pieces together in a chaotic mess that made sense later. And then I sewed the sleeve seam. I'm having a problem. I'm holding the camera still. The desk is vibrating. I serged all the raw edges. Oh wait. Come here, Emmie. Sit. Okay, back to the dress project. I stitched the elastic casing channel on the top edge by folding it over by about 3/4 of an inch. You're in the way. I pinned the waist piece and the bodice together by gathering the bodice to fit. You're gonna see a lot of this gathering method in this video. Gesundheit. And I stitched this down, and also serged. I threaded 1/4 inch elastic through the channel and temporarily pinned it. I just thought you should know that I just sat in my pins. The magnetic dish keeps all the pointy parts pointing down, so it didn't really hurt, but no. Oops. I basted an invisible zipper in so I could adjust the elastic length. The basting stops about 2 inches before the non-existent skirt seam. The bodice is finished, now it's time for the skirt. And I left myself a helpful note. I want the skirt to be about 24 inches long with about a 6-inch ruffle at the end, so I'm going to cut this part of the skirt to be 18 inches. It's not going to be a full circle or whatever because I forgot that I wanted to gather it when I was writing up my notes. So I'm just gonna draw sort of a skirt shape on here. It's about 18 inches wide, and the rest of the fabric will be a ruffle and some pockets. Can't forget the pockets. I can't find my pen. Why do my disappearing ink pens always disappear? It's not even funny. I need them. I want to say I'm not always this chaotic, but I am.
I bravely freehanded a skirt shape and cut it out. Ta-da! A skirt!
This is the top part piece that had a big hole in it, so I'm going to use this to cut a pocket shape. Not there.
A phone-sized pocket.
If there's more fabric left over, I will be cutting another pocket, but I am right-handed, so I don't really need a left pocket. Hi, Emmie. Hi, Emmie. Your butt is on my fabric again. I did have enough fabric to make 2 pockets.
I sewed all 4 pocket shapes to the side of each skirt panel and understitched them so that the pocket wouldn't peek out, although this only matters when the lining is a different fabric. I put the side seams together and stitched around the pocket. Pocket! I gathered another ruffle to attach the skirt to the bodice, and I also added a pocket support ribbon. I finally finished attaching the invisible zipper. I stitched the bottom ruffle into a giant tube before running yet another gathering stitch. I attached this final ruffle to the bottom of the skirt and serged.
I finished it, but you don't get to see it yet. Now I have to make Emmie's dress. I'm sure she's gonna love that part.
For Emmie's dress, I flip-flopped it from my fabric because I didn't have a skirt-sized piece left of the flowers. I added a little wedge, also for the aforementioned lack of fabric. I stitched this together before cutting out the lining, that way it matches exactly, even with some seam allowance variation. I also added ribbon ties for tummy straps. Yes, I put grommets in a dog dress, but they are purely for decoration. See? Lovely. I looked up how to tie a pretty bow later. I top stitched everything to make it look like mine. For the skirt, I cut a 10 by 17 inch rectangle and cut a triangle out from the middle. I ran another gathering stitch. Don't worry, this is the last one. Please appreciate my pants for matching this dog dress. And I was done!
I just walked through a bunch of spider webs. Pockets are the best. like this dress. It'll definitely be something I'll wear again.
We can't forget Emmie's dress. Judah got a bow tie. That's all the scraps I had left. I guess I forgot to make something for my fiance. You can wear the bunny ears.
Ooh, come on. Look, I found the Easter bunny! That's the dress done. If you like this style of video, subscribe and like it, and follow along for more fun sewing adventures. Bye, everybody! The sheriff just pulled in. That's me. It's really sunny out now. Ah, that was my foot.